Welcome to CXO, a magical podcast to help you serve better and concoct experiences that are superlative in nature. I'm your host, Supriya Sharma, bringing to you in each episode didactic nuggets so you can get inspired to sprinkle stardust in your company, your home, and the community on the whole. On our show today, we have Kristi Faltorusso, who's an award-winning customer success executive with experience in building, scaling, and transforming customer success organizations at hypergrowth B2B SaaS companies. Currently, she is the Chief Customer Officer at ClientSuccess, and she also is the founder of Keeping CS Simple, which is a content experience supporting the simplification of customer success for executives and CS leaders. Welcome to CXO, Kristi. We are so glad to have you here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here and really excited about our conversation today. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. So what do you think about customer experience, Kristi? What it is and how is it going around the world these days?
Well, I will say, I think probably over the past couple of years, we're getting a lot more visibility, right? At least a lot more people talking about what customer experience is and how they can think about it in terms of its impact on their customers and their business, right? The bottom line ultimately is the end goal. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been really excited about the trajectory and the excitement around it. With that though comes a lot of ambiguity, right? And a lot of unknowns. And so I think this is where professionals like ourselves can and should continue to educate and up-level the skills and conversations that are taking place around customer experience. So I don't know if that's the same thing that you're seeing and experiencing as well.
Well, absolutely. If I share my experience from Italy and India, it is almost the same. And that's why I particularly asked you this question. How do you see it around the world? And you said, oh, we are gaining a lot of visibility, which is very true. In the past decade, the customer experience, this term and the experience on the whole has gained so much of visibility. But in as much as visibility that we are gaining as customer experience, which is going to be the success tone of any organization, my question to you is, okay, we are talking about customer experience and quality, but what happens when it comes to quantity? How do you really quantify or how do you really measure this customer experience that is gaining all this pump and show now?
It's so interesting because I feel like everyone's trying to find a magic metric that is all-encompassing of customer experience, when the reality is like the experience for any consumer, whether it's B2B or B2C, right, is part of this lifelong cycle that they're on with this brand or the company. And I don't think there's any one metric that I feel like has been the magic number that I watch, but more so what I've tried to pay attention to are the points of contact that we have with our customer and the metrics of measurement around those interactions. Support is an easy one, right? So I think for most organizations, especially in B2B SaaS, you likely have a technical support team. And so metrics that you can look at there, right? Response time, first response time, like time to resolution, things like that will help us understand the benchmarks around how fast we're helping our customers, what is the ease of communication, the ease of engagement, and ultimately helping get their things resolved. So that's one area of the business where I think it's easy to put some metrics to it, but we even look at exchanges and conversations with our customers. Finance is another one that is big for me. Money is personal, right? People have a lot of feelings when it comes to money. And so I talk about this because, your finance department or, who's accounts payable, accounts receivable, right? Who's ever kind of running the show there, anyone who probably sits under your CFO's organization, they're going to have interactions with your customers around invoicing and contracts and subscriptions, which again, can become personal. If you make it difficult to do business with, whether it's we've got very laborious processes around our MSA or legal process or procurement, or invoicing is wrong and it takes a long time to get things resolved, or you don't have a way to get questions answered quickly, that's a whole nother part of your business that a lot of people don't think about that can have a lot of impact on the experience a customer has interacting with your brands. Now, if you are working with telecom, right, like your cell phone provider or your cable company, you probably experience those things a lot quicker, a lot easier, and you're probably more familiar with it. But those things really impact our customers, I think, overall as well. So I don't know that I have a magic number, but those are some different points of, I think, reference that we look at when we're thinking about the holistic management of customer experience.
Mm-hmm. So talking about the magic in this customer experience, there is one score that comes to my mind, which is the customer health score. How seriously do you think companies are taking the customer health score? Are there many companies around the world who are using this as a metric, or they are still on the conventional metrics that we've been using?
So I think the customer health score is an interesting one because more often than not, it's designed internally based on metrics that your teams have determined to be impacting your customers, right? Or a reflection of their behaviors, their engagement, or their view of the partnership. While I think that that's helpful directionally, I don't think it's a great barometer of your customer's ultimate experience. It's indicative of things that help us understand how your customer is participating in the relationship, right? Maybe you're looking at things like engagement. So how often are we engaging with our customers, right? Do they participate in conversations early and often? Do we have access to the right people joining those discussions? Maybe it's around product usage and adoption, which is a great barometer of how they're using your software. But someone could spend a lot of time in your product and be extremely frustrated by what it's not doing, or how difficult it is to do something, or how many clicks it takes to get to something. So I think health score is an interesting one to me. It's not one I put a lot of weight on when it comes to customer experience, because it tells me about the things that I might be interested in, but not the things that are telling the story for my customer. So something I do like, though, is customer effort score. Mm-hmm. So CES, which oftentimes is deployed maybe in the product, that helps me understand from my customer's point of view, right? Because it's a survey that they're completing that helps me understand how they view our product and its ease of use in their workflow, or to address their use cases. So that's something that tells me from our customer, which is a survey that might be deployed maybe after an engagement with support or another engagement. Those things are coming directly from my customer. And so I take those and I weight them a little heavier than I might something like my health score, which again, might be an internal metric that we've designed based off of things that are important to us.
Mm-hmm. We just spoke of the engagement that a customer has with your organization. Would I be right if I say an engaged customer is a loyal customer?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know that I'd go that far, right? I could argue both sides 100%. I have some customers who are highly engaged, getting a ton of value and really satisfied with the partnership. The product is doing what it needs it to do. My team is doing what they need us to do. But I also have customers who we're talking to all the time because maybe they're really frustrated or they're navigating some roadblocks or some challenges. So I don't know that I would use engagement as a single metric to say satisfied or happy or content or receiving value. And this is why I always feel like you've got to look at a lot of metrics, right? There's no one metric, there's no one magical data point that tells me everything I need to know about their experience. So I think anything in a silo isn't going to be helpful, but when you look at all those things in its totality, that weighting of all of those metrics, I think tells a story.
Wonderful, wonderful. You beautifully summarized it, saying anything in silo is not going to work. It's in totality. How does it look or how does it sound? And we mentioned about the frustrated customers who can be really difficult to deal at times. But then my question to you with regard to this is, what is a better idea, or I would say, what is a better method, if at all there is, to understand the impact of emotion on customer experience? Is there a set standard that we can use to understand the effect that emotions of the customers are having on the experience we are creating for them?
Oof. I think it comes down to a bit of a recency thing, right? I think customer experience is, right? I think we've all had interactions with brands or businesses or companies where in a moment we've been extremely delighted. And so our experience is a positive one, and one that we're even willing to sing on the mountaintops how happy we are.
Yeah.
But one change in that experience is going to change our emotions, change our sentiment. But it's based around the recency of an experience that we've just had in that moment. So again, I don't know if there is that one magic number that's going to tell me what that looks like over time. But what I do think to be true is that if you could pay attention to the volatility of those emotions and those triggers, right, the things that triggered that emotion, you could probably start to tell a story. And as a brand, probably hone in on the things that are causing those points of friction. So over time, you reduce those moments of dissatisfaction and frustration, so that way you can create a better holistic experience.
So understanding the story of a customer, do you think it really helps in practicality to personalize the customer experience that we want to deliver?
Oh my gosh, I do. I do think it's still difficult to scale it and to nail it. But I do think that if you can figure out a way to humanize your customers and make them feel some connection to your brand and to that partnership, it changes the dynamic, right? I mean, I've got customers who we've got personal, real strong relationships with. And when they're frustrated, it is a very different engagement than when a customer who we don't have the same relationship with, when they're frustrated, right? And so it's all about how they feel about the partnership. And so again, to your point, personalization helps to curate and create those relationships, right? Even if it's with a person or a brand, right? They start to feel like they are more connected, and that connectivity, I think, changes their perception, ultimately, their reaction to certain things.
The moment you said humanization, the first thing that triggered the button on me was the chatbots these days. Okay, so we are using a number of brands, and then we go to these chatbots who, I don't know, what did they do to us? I do not have words to share that experience. So what do you have to say about that? Where is humanization going as we are progressing with technology?
I don't know. Chatbots in its own right. Like I have so many feelings about that. I think it's hard to get that right? To like really nail that experience for an end user. I do know why companies are doing that, right? Again, for scale, timeliness, efficiency, right? There's so many metrics that support the justification for that. But let me tell you, as an end user of technology where I've had to engage a chatbot, I could literally be pulling my hair out. I waste so much more of my time trying to have a conversation with an automated bot who doesn't know what I'm trying to get accomplished. I did it yesterday, actually, and I won't say the vendor, but I was trying to cancel my subscription, and it sent me to this chat bot, and I'm here trying to have a conversation with a bot and couldn't get my answer resolved. And it ultimately took me, like, I want to say just over 2 hours of me exchanging a correspondence with a bot, trying to cancel my subscription. I'm like, I just thought to myself, wow, if I didn't really want to cancel before, I really want to cancel now. So it exacerbated all the emotion I had because of the experience, right? It was so hard. I wasted so much of my time, and that's capital. So chatbots are difficult, right? So I put those in their own bucket because I feel like they're very frustrating. But yeah, to your point, we can find other ways to humanize engagement, even digitally, right? I do believe there is a way to digitize that. Chatbots, I just don't think they've nailed it. They have a way to go.
Yeah, it looks like the chatbot was having a lot of fun with you yesterday.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it must have. I hope that there was somebody watching my exchange with that chatbot, because I definitely altered some algorithm for sure.
Well, my last thing to you that I'd like to ask you is, or rather have your insights on that is, what is that one thing, just that one thing, if you were to choose, that a company can get right to create a memorable experience for their customers? What is that one super coin that the company can get, which will totally transform the experience they are wishing to create for their customers?
It's hard to say one, but I'm going to, so right, however you kick on to shine, and how you craft and again, manage that experience for your customer sets the tone for the rest of the partnership. So I'm going to stick with that, really start to establish trust, credibility, and build a relationship and humanize the relationship there, I think that could set you on a better journey.
Perfect. So thanks for giving us the secret sauce, which is the trust. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you so much for being with us on CXO and sharing some nuggets from your experience. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to CXO with your host, Supriya. I hope you enjoyed a dive into the nitty-gritty of customer experience. If you are committed to applying these ideas in the real world, stay tuned with me. Don't forget to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. That's all for this episode, folks. See you next time.